If we don't tell their stories, then the righteous ancestors get no glory. I'm here, August 19th, 2021. I am a man, and I'm honoring Black manhood personified. This is also the day, the 4-year anniversary of us losing our dear brother, Baba Dick Gregory. That's Richard Claxton Gregory Sr., otherwise known as Dick Gregory. We lost him August 19th, 2017. You know, he had to die in Black August because he transitioned to a righteous ancestor, and he's more powerful as a righteous ancestor than he was in his mortal core. His presence is felt. He's very omnipresent. And also, this is also the 50th anniversary of the founding of the Charleston Chronicle, the oldest Black-owned newspaper in the state of South Carolina, which was founded by my grand or great uncle, I don't know how you call it, Google it up, Uncle Frenchie, the one and only James French Sr., I know him as Uncle Frenchie. He made his rightful transition into a righteous ancestor July 31st, 2021, on the eve of Black August. That's the official, unofficial Black History Month. I'm going to be honoring both of these gentlemen and their master works, their God work, this day, Black August 19th, 2021. We're going to do a special tribute to both of these guys. They both understood the power of telling your story from your perspective, of reclaiming a narrative, and also standing on something. They knew the power of being a Black male who chooses to be a man. It's hard to be a man in a world like this. It's especially even harder to be a Black man, to stand for masculinity, to stand for what is right from wrong, to know which way is up as well as down, but to have 10 toes down and your eyes on the prize. Both of these gentlemen represent that to me. So I'm going to honor them. And I thank you, thank you, thank you for receiving this message and amplifying it. Because if we don't tell their stories, the righteous ancestors get no glory. See how it works? One love. One love. Coming Black at you. Black August. Never forget. Because if we don't tell their stories, the righteous ancestors get no glory. One love. One love. See how it works? Remember, tune in Black August 19th, 2021 to We All Be TV on YouTube. That's the We All Be TV channel. We will be paying homage to these righteous ancestors, Baba Dick Gregory, and also my Uncle Frenchie. And also, let me say this as well. My Uncle Frenchie had a fundraiser back in the day. And guess who was the keynote speaker? The one and only Richard Claxton Gregory Sr., also known as Baba Dick Gregory. So you see, I know it was the blood for me. You see how it works now?
Right now, get up to $130 back by mail on a set of 4.
Welcome, family. Welcome to another wonderful, infiltrating, edutating edition or edutainment edition of The Artivist Thinks as We All Be, news-free Dixie for the 21st century. I'm your host for this empowerment segment, Brother Ron, also known as R2C2H2 The Artivist, and it is Black August 19th, 2021, still in Memphis time. Yeah, I call it Central Time, Chicago time. Chicago, that toddling down, but I call it Memphis time. It's Memphis time. So we still August 19th, Black August 19th, 2021. It is 11:08 p.m. Memphis time, because it is time to bring it. And it's been a very interesting week for me. I never have boring days. I have interesting days. We necessarily good or bad days, just interesting days, engaging days. I think a lot of people are checking out of here. They're checking out because limited mobility. See, movement is life. To move is to live. And a lot of people have been restricted over the last year or so. It has really took a downturn on people's quality of life. So I want to encourage you, if you are living, if you can hear my voice, keep it moving. Move by any means necessary. Keep moving. To move is to live is to love. So don't let this thing get you too down, because this too shall pass. A lot of things going on right now, but I'm trying to keep it focused because Black August is the official, unofficial Black History Month. I love Black August. The heat, the revolution, the love, the birth, the death, the resurrection, the recreation, the insurrection. It is all gravy, baby. So we're going to talk about today is a special day. August 19th marks the 4-year anniversary of the transition of our Baba Dick Gregory, Richard Claston Gregory Sr., into a righteous ancestor. Also, August 19th is the birth of the Charleston Chronicle, the oldest Black-owned newspaper in the state of South Carolina, which was founded by my great uncle or grand uncle. He was the the brother of my paternal grandmother. So I guess it's great or grand. Somebody said you should say grand uncle, great uncle. Go on the internet, a lot of contradictions. So I call him my great uncle. Probably is my grand uncle, but who knows? Who cares? But this was his brainchild, his love child, so to speak. He founded it 50 years ago, August 19th, 1971, in Charleston, South Carolina. He was 44 years young, so he committed his life to that paper. It was also the lifeblood of the community. We recently lost my uncle Frenchie, July 31st, Black August Eve, 2021, at the ripe young age, got heightened contradictions of 94. He would have been 95 on October 7th. October 7th is also the life affirmation day of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the visionary behind the Nation of Islam, that guy, the Brother Malcolm's teacher, Brother Malcolm's master teacher. So he was born October 7th. And Dick Greg was born October 12th. I got a thing for Libras. Libras got a thing for me. And we're all about communicating things to the people. So it's interesting. Like, actually, I found out not too long ago that Baba Dick Gregory raised some money for my Uncle Frenchie's newspaper years ago before I ever met him. I didn't know what a Dick Gregory was or anything. He actually raised some money for my uncle for his paper years ago. He was a keynote speaker at a function. And Baba Dick Gregory understood the power of controlling your message, of supporting and investing in Black media, because we got to tell our narratives from our perspective, because we'll be a stranger or invisible or marginalized in our own story. We don't tell our stories. The righteous ancestors get no glory if we don't tell their stories. The righteous ancestors don't get no glory. So I'm telling their stories. As long as we speak their names, they live. As long as I'm all about the resurrection of our righteous ancestors and the insurrection for better days ahead. So
I want to make sure I came on August 19th, Black August 19th, to do this podcast. It should be a classic, I think. I said that it's the 50th anniversary of the birth of the Charleston Chronicle, and I believe, unfortunately, that my grandfather or my grand uncles or great uncles paper is on life support. Uh, I Before I left Charleston, I went down to the headquarters of the Charleston Chronicle, where I met my uncle Frenchie on his 87th birthday, October 7th, 2013. That was my first time meeting my uncle Frenchie on his birthday in his office on 1111 King Street down in Charleston, downtown Charleston, which was a black neighborhood at one point, but is being strongly gentrified like everywhere else around the United Snakes of America. But I went to his offices and they had their Chronicle, that thing where they hold the papers where you could put money in to get the paper, right? I don't even know what that thing is really called. But he was still selling this paper as recently as this year for 50 cents. He was selling the Charleston Chronicle. This is the oldest black-owned newspaper in the state of South Carolina for 50 cents in 2021. So he was not making money. It's hard for media. A lot of media doesn't make money. Well, they do make money through advertising, but a lot of times our media, especially black media, is at a disadvantage when it comes to advertising. As you know about the so-called trials and tribulations of the so-called billionaire Byron Allen trying to get advertising on his media outlets and whatnot, whatever he's doing, whatever. Judge Joe Brown think he's a fraud. I don't know. But my uncle Frenchie had this paper holding it down for almost 50 years. He died in the 50-year anniversary of this paper. He didn't hold on long enough. Also, he married the love of his life, my Aunt Liv, August 24th. So he's a Black August man. He's truly, I mean, he almost died in August. And I heard somewhere, well, when people die in August, they usually come back. They got unfinished business. I don't know if that's true or not. Y'all people in the chat, now let me know. Y'all ever heard of people dying in August coming back reincarnated to finish unfinished business? But he held on as long as he could. He died on the eve of Black August. And this is his paper. What disturbed me, this was the paper inside of the machine outside the office on 1111 King Street. A couple things disturb you. Look at it's about on the MLK 2021. So this paper came out on January 20th, 2021. So we are in August. So this is the last paper that was inside of that machine outside the office. And that's very concerning to me because I made sure somebody told me, Ron, go down to the offices. It's a 5,000 square foot building. I believe my uncle Frenchie at one point owned. I don't know his financial situation at the time of his death, but it's like hot property. I saw a for sale sign on the building, or it's available for sale, and that was disturbing because what raised some flags for me, some red flags, was when I went to his homegoing celebration, and some of the people, including his eulogists, made it a point to talk about trying to keep the paper alive, try to keep it going beyond Uncle Frenchie's mortal demise. And I'm saying, it was family business, but Uncle Frenchie, like I said, that was his life work, his God work. He put almost 50 years into that paper of his blood, sweat, and tears to making that paper, make sure it ran and it kept on schedule, kept on track. He dipped into his own pockets. My Uncle Frenchie was an amazing man. Like I said, Black history is better than science fiction or any Hollywood movie. My Uncle Frenchie was, I don't know, he was, if not the first, he was one of the first Black photojournalists in Vietnam. One of the first Black photojournalists back in the 60s in Vietnam, traveling up and down the Mekong Delta, photojournaling. He has an amazing life. Like I said, that part of my family, interesting characters. He was the last of his siblings to pass on to that great reward, so-called great reward. But he was like one of the first Black photojournalists in Vietnam for America, or if he probably was the first. I don't know for sure, but he believed that pictures tell a story. And also, he was a wordsmith. He was a brilliant journalist. He won awards for his commentary and things like that. And it's unfortunate that after he died, just several weeks later, the paper's in crisis. I'm saying hashtag save the Chronicle. I don't know what I can do. I'm a relative on the outside looking in. I'm not really immediate family. Like I met him on his 87 life affirmation day. So I'm not close, but I do have a good relationship with his daughter, his caretaker, Simona. Shout out to Sister Simona, my cousin, beautiful sister, just wonderful, loving, lovable person. And she really took care of her father towards his last days. I mean, basically for the last 5 years, she was been taking care of her father and her mom, Aunt Liv. Shout out to Aunt Liv. There's beautiful people. Yeah, so what I'm going to do right now, we're going to talk about Uncle Frenchie this hour, and then we're going to shift it up to Baba Dick Gregory to close it out. But there's so much to get into. Thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate that, Betty. I do. We all stand on the shoulders of giants. Thank y'all for the love. Hey, Nora, thanks a lot. And thank you for commenting on Aretha Franklin tribute about some of the songs she actually wrote. But you know what's funny? I know those songs, but I know the songs that made her Miss Franklin, Miss Aretha was ones that were really written by other people, like the ones stand out like Respect. And Ain't No Way. I love that. That was written by our sister. Of course, Respect was written by Otis Redding, but she was a brilliant artist. And, you know, they try to make Alicia Keys now. I'm understanding they'll try to make her the next Aretha, but Alicia can't touch Aretha. You know, Alicia could play the piano, got a little soul, you know, protege of Clyde Davis, all that stuff. But Aretha is in class by herself. So thank you for being a real Aretha fan. Yeah, I know, but I'm in Memphis time. Yeah, I know you probably, I don't know where you at exactly, but I'm in Memphis time. It's like a Detroit person. Thank y'all for tuning in and not tuning out per se, but tuning out to tune in. Because like Dr. King said, human salvation lies in the hands of the creator of maladjusted. Thank you. We love you madly as well. So let's let me get on. But I had a chance to speak at Uncle Frenchie's funeral. I want to play a little bit of that. I actually played there. It's like just 3 minutes. I was told by Simona that she wanted me to speak. I was also a pallbearer for Uncle Frenchie. I see it as a great honor, but also she told me she wanted me to speak. And I said, okay. I look on the funeral program. They got me listed as a pallbearer, misspell my name instead of spelling like a herd of cattle. They spell like I heard it through the grapevine. But you know, I ain't a big deal, man. It is what it is. Funeral happened real fast. I thought it was gonna be at least 2 weeks before they actually had a funeral. But they had it like less than a week, really like a week later after he passed. He passed on a Saturday, and they had it the following Saturday. So I had to scramble around, drive 10 plus hours to get there, but I wanted to be there. I said if I was in the land of the living, I was gonna pay my respects to my Uncle Frenchie. So she wanted me to speak, but I didn't see my name listed as one of those people giving remarks. But I kind of did a Kanye West, but it really wasn't a Kanye West because I was invited by Simona to speak, but it didn't have me on there. But anyway, let me play that for you good people. And we'll be back because we all be it's News Free Dixie for the 21st century, and we are honoring the righteous ancestor, Baba Dick Gregory, 4 years later, and also celebrating the birth of the Charleston Chronicle 50 years later. So, yes, interesting times we're living in. So, as we all be News Free Dixie for the 21st century.
When the saints come marching in, oh, when the saints come marching in. Yo, Uncle Frenchie, how you doing there? Hey, y'all. I'm not doing a Kanye West moment. Simona asked me to make a couple of words, and I want to say this. Malcolm X once said the media is the most powerful entity on the planet because it influences and controls the minds of the masses. Uncle Frenchie understood the power of telling your story from your perspective, amplifying the marginalized. I had a chance to meet Uncle Frenchie on his 87th Life Affirmation Day, and I've been coming to Charleston as much as I can ever since that time. I want to shout out his wonderful, beautiful family, Auntie Liv, the crew. Uncle Frenchie was a guy, if you told somebody that who this guy was when he did, you thought he was a Hollywood character or a superhero. And he was so much more, because Black history is better than science fiction or Hollywood movie, because it's the truth. And Uncle Frenchie stood on truth.
And what he left us was a legacy of a great name and a great work, and the best is yet to come. I want to encourage everybody to support that because Uncle Frenchie is a part of a great legacy in our community. Because all our greatest black leaders were people servants and also overstood of controlling the narrative to tell our stories. Whether it be Malcolm X with Muhammad speech, Ali Wells, that free speech and headlight, David Walker with the appeal, the Freedom Journal, P. Thomas Fortune, William Rowe Trout, the Guardian. Uncle Frenchie is now among the righteous ancestors to get a job well done. So I want to encourage you all. And who is this guy on his great nephew who met him on his 87th birthday? If I had a chance to record and document some of his history, so you go on We All BTV on YouTube while you still can, because they censoring people. And you get some of Uncle Frenchie from a couple of hours from his perspective on his own terms. I just wanted to encourage the family to stay strong. I'm wishing y'all 50 more years of continued black excellence in that field. You know what's interesting about me, you might think I'm a weird character, I'm a character. And that's part of the bloodline, I guess. But when Uncle Frenchie died, the next day, I got a call from Dr. Bill Cosby. Yes, that Dr. Bill Cosby, America said. And I told him about Uncle Frenchie because Dr. Bill Cosby was also a Navy guy. And he told me, what you do, don't sell the house right away, don't sell the house. Go down to the basement, get all that good stuff you got down there, and get the U-Haul, and make sure y'all keep that stuff. There's jewels in there, because he told it from our perspective. There's some jewels in there that need to be shined up found. That was Dr. Bill Cosby told me. So he also sent his condolences as well. So thank you all for giving me time to speak my mind, and I hope the best is to come. And thank you all for being here. Anybody else? Thank you. Yeah, that was me speaking at my Uncle Frenchie funeral, August the 7th, Black August 7th, 2021. And it was good. I'm glad I did it. And also, I was able to provide a recording for the family because it got planned so fast. They didn't know they could, because people assumed that couldn't make it, that there would be a Zoom recording of the funeral. Now, the family did have a videographer there, but he did, as of this moment, they have not made it available. So I guess God sent me there, or Uncle Fritz made sure I was there to capture those moments and share with the rest of the family who could not be there, but they were there in love and spirit. So that was interesting. Also, I thought the eulogy was interesting that the minister did. I'm gonna play that. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm gonna play that. I think it's important because basically he made it a point to talk about saving the newspaper. I don't know the financial straits of the newspaper. Uncle Fritchie officially retired from the newspaper, I believe, back in 2016. He turned 90 years old in 2016. I went to his 90th birthday celebration. It was postponed because of bad weather. And then it went back on at the end of October, I believe, towards the end of October. So I went out there, I documented some of that 90th birthday celebration. And I'm glad I did. I'm glad I went to Charleston as many times as I did. My last time seeing Uncle Frenchie alive was back in 2018. I was on my way to Baba Dick Gregory Week up in Maryland. Back in February 2018, I dropped by Uncle Frenchie and Aunt Liv and Simona. Had a good time visiting with them, fellowshipping, and I was on my way. But it's always something I just got to connect with, Dick Gregory and Uncle Frenchie, find a way to be connected, not knowing the backstory of Dick helping Uncle Frenchie until like several years ago. So I'm gonna play what the minister said. I think it's very important to play that because he talked about, Black Media Matters, how important that paper was. My Uncle Frenchie actually liked Dick Gregory. I don't know if it's a Libra thing, but these guys, they help these families, but yet they sacrifice their family for the movement, for the cause. My Uncle Frenchie was known for giving. He would give you literally his shirt off his back to help people, go into his pockets, helping the community, giving folks money. Sure, a lot of times people didn't repay him in kindness of his money. He had a hard time saying no to people. He really was a pillar of the community. And the people who hurt from that was his family. Like Dick Gregory, have money that people give him to keep the house, to keep the farm, the mortgage, keep his kids and clothes in school. Sometimes he'll give that money away to the movement. And I don't know if that's a Libra thing or what, but my Uncle Frenchie had that type of, he was a true humanitarian. And there's a difference between being a humanitarian and being a philanthropist. To be a humanitarian is to love people, is to give the best of you, your gifts, your talents, your resources, your time to the people in love. You can be a philanthropist and hate people, be misanthropic, be a misanthrope. You can have a hatred of humanity, but you see giving money, large sums of money as a way to write off for your taxes. So I mean, you look at someone like Joe Louis. Joe Louis was both a humanitarian and a philanthropist, but he got screwed over by the government because man, the man gave over $1 million just to help black officers have uniforms during World War II. Why is he responsible for providing uniforms for black officers during World War II? He gave millions of dollars. I mean, today's money, doing free boxing exhibitions, recommending people like Jackie Robinson for officer training. He paid back the welfare money that his father used. He gave it back to the government. He was buying people homes, and yet he ended up broke, and broken by the system. The IRS destroyed Joe Louis, and Joe Louis did all this for. He was a real patriot. And yeah, you know what I'm saying? People, yeah, a lot of folks are hypercritical of some of these athletes talking about mental health. Black folks we are certified crazy for the stuff we do for this country for little in return for the sacrifices made. But I ain't gonna get too much into a tangent. But my uncle Frenchie was a giver. He served in the Navy for 20 years, just about 21 years. Like I said, I don't know if he was the first, but he was one of the first black photojournalists in Vietnam for America. So I want to play with this eulogy the minister said. I don't know what his financial situation was at the paper, but my cousins, his grandsons, were in charge of running the paper for the last 5 years. And they just have a lot of, families have their issues. Every family got their issues. I mean, I don't believe that. I think everybody got their issues in family, but it was a family business. And sometimes you can be related to somebody. Don't mean that's your calling to follow behind that person. Just because you relate to Malcolm X does not mean you got to answer that call. You might have other designs for your life. Just because you relate to Dr. King does not mean you got to follow in his footsteps. You got to live your life the way you want to live it on your terms. You can refuse or you can accept, but it's your decision. You have free will to live the life that you want, or you should have the conviction and the courage to live your true self, to be authentic. Uncle Frenchie was truly iconoclastic and a true American original, a true hero. I want to play this eulogy that the brother minister did in honor of Frenchie and telling people to save the paper. They did not give us any type of instruction on how we, the family, supporters, neighbors can get involved in salvaging that amazing legacy. Like Dr. Bill Cosby told me, I live a very fascinating life. You think get a U-Haul and get all that good stuff down there. You got the good jewels because you got the archive. You know how valuable those archives are from the newspaper, a black newspaper, a great vulnerable institution like the Charleston Chronicle. That name alone has a lot of value. I mean, even if the family decides to sell the paper or the name, that name has a lot of weight in that community. Because it's like the oldest black-owned newspaper in the state. And my uncle Frenchie was well respected in the state of South Carolina. He won his highest civilian award. I think it's called the Palmetto Award, I believe. And also he has a street named after him in Charleston. So he's a very well respected figure in Charleston, South Carolina history. So I don't know. I hope the paper can survive beyond its 50th year. I don't know. I'm looking at this paper, the last paper. It's like they printed. We're back in January 20th, 2021. MLK edition. I don't see no other papers out there. But anyway, I want to play with the minister, the good minister. Thank you, Brother John. I know you're a Carolina man, South Carolina man. Love your state. Love Charleston. But let me play with the minister, the right minister, the right reverend had to say. I don't ban people from live. I got moderators. I don't know if they hear. I know I'll be going live at the last minute. Then this post being that they had me schedule an hour later. I wanted to be in August 19th, Memphis time. I'm gonna call it Memphis time. I was to myself Chicago time. But let me tell you what the right minister got to say. So we all be news free Dixie for the 21st century. And I'll be right black. I'll be in the cut.
Amen. It's indeed a great honor for me to stand before this body of Jim French, such a great icon of not only Charleston, but the state of South Carolina. Jim was a man that didn't mince words. He was a man all about the truth, and he wrote about it. I have done many eulogies, and could not say much about a person, but I may say their mother could cook good, but I couldn't say nothing about the person that was laying in the coffin. Jim, it would take me 2 years to say what I need to say about him, such a great man. I would like for these people to stand. Ed Bryant, please stand. Peter Lawrence, Jerome Smalls, Pastor Dixon, State Representative Eulogy, Paul Campbell, Jerome Hayward. Please stand. And if there's anyone else I missed that's activist, please stand. Jim made us. Jim made us who we are. I can remember many years ago, about 30 years ago, Jim told me, he said, Johnson, I am going to make you. I made you. And I know he did. These people here are who they are because of Jim. Jim was the voice of not only Charleston, but South Carolina. Jim was the voice to the churches. Now, everyone other than the family, please stand along with these people. Please stand. And let's give this family a great round of applause for Jim. Come on, come on. Please, come on, with a man. Please be seated. Jim would write a column they called The Black Cat. Everybody know about the Black Cat. Jim even had me in the Black Cat at one time. And Jim will tell it like it is. Jim would write on churches who was not doing what they're supposed to do. And before you know it, you have 2 or 3 mega churches full of paper from his congregation. But Jim didn't care because Jim was telling the truth. Jim had Beverly Birch to write a column every single week. Please stand, Beverly. Let's give her a round of applause. She has been working with the family 100%. Most of what I was going to say has already been said. So I would cut to the chase and get to the sermon at hand for the living. Amen? Amen. Again, family, I want to thank you for allowing me to be here to do this eulogy today. My subject today will be coming from Ecclesiastes 7, chapter 1 and 2. And it reads, "A good man is better than a fine perfume, and the day of death is better than the day of birth. It is better to go to a house of mourning than to go to a house of feasting. For death is the destiny for everyone." And this last verse said, "The living should take this at hand." The living should take this at hand. There is nothing much more we can say about Jim that was not already said. Jim is in the hands of God now. You that's in the sound of my voice, I'll say again, death is the destiny for everyone. The living should take this as heart. We make plans for holidays. We make plans for birthdays. We make plans for retirement. But we never make plans for death. Why? Because we don't really think about it that much. Reverend Brown, tell me why they don't think about it that much. Because we are busy at our everyday's life, working, planning for a brand new car, planning for a house, planning for this, but we never plan for death. The now in a person's life is only maybe 90 to 100 years. That's the now. But my people, hear me. Death is eternal. Reverend McLean, death is eternal. We must start thinking about our eternal life. We either going to be with God or we're going to be without God. That's your decision. That's your decision. Because one day, each and every one of us will be laying here. Don't forget this sermon. One day we will. And we think that while we live in, that we could, in this life, just go by day after day after day after day, not doing anything for others. But that's not what the word says. The word also says to the least of those you must help. That's what Jim did. How I know? I have a relationship with him for 30 years. I know when he went in his pocket and feeding and clothes people. I was there. Jim did more than some church folks doing. Some church are doing. I know. He was spent hundreds of dollars feeding and clothing and finding people a place to stay. And that's what we must do. I'll tell you the truth. In Isaiah 58, it tells the whole story. They were a group of church people that wanted to fast, and they would fast, and they would fast with this and fast with that, and they would put ointment on their face and let everybody know they're fasting in an angry God. Because that were not the kind of fasting that God wanted. The kind of fasting God wanted is to loose the chain of his justice. That's him. He wrote about the gentrification. Am I right, Mr. Campbell? He wrote about the gentrification because Mr. Campbell brought it up, what was happening downtown, the gentrification of moving the blacks out of the city houses. He wrote about it. And also the Bible says you must unite the cord of the yoke. And he says to set the oppressed free. Jim did that. He also said in Isaiah that you must feed the hungry and to provide the poor and the widow with shelter. Jim did that. When you see the naked, you must clothe them. Jim did that. And not turn away from your own flesh and blood. Jim loved his family. And he also said that your light will break forth like a dawn, and your healing will be quickly appear. And then your righteousness will be before you, and the glory of the Lord will be your right God. See, we sit in this life, we do nothing for no one. We just breathe the air, and we're selfish. We collect money after money after money after money. We buy houses and cars after cars. But we never search the scripture and do what God tells us to do for others. We may do that here while we are alive, but God tells us we must help others in order to go there. But we don't search the scriptures to do that. We are so selfish. So selfish. We have our kids. The majority of them are failing in school. They are failing their flunking. We have Mrs. Burke and a few working hard to see that the school district do what it needs to do to help our kids. She can't get nobody to help because they are busy, caught up in the day work. That's helping the least of them. We need to understand. We need to understand that God is listening and seeing everything that we do. Everything that we do. This is a social justice sermon because Jim was all about social justice. In Psalms 82 at verse 3, it says, defend the weak and the fatherless. Uphold the cause of the poor. Jim did that. And the oppressed. Rescue the weak and the needy. Deliver them from the hands of the wicked. And I can name a lot of wicked people, a lot of mayors that's so wicked. Gentrification, do nothing in the black community, but Jim was right in the mouth. Let's go back up to verse 2. This is the one that's going to really tell you about who you serve in this life. It says, how long, listen to me, how long will you defend the unjust? Those who want to collect money and the whole community suffers, They want 30 pieces of silver to ignore the community. They want the mayor to give them a piece of land and ignore the community. The community suffers. The Bible says again, how long will you defend the unjust? Ask yourself that. How long you will defend the unjust for 30 pieces of silver? Jim could have been a millionaire if he wanted to. But he loved his black community. He sacrificed. Him and his whole family sacrificed. And we got some black folks popping a bullet door because they will not tell about the unjust when they know about it. I'm going to tell you one thing. You may enjoy the wealth in your pocket today on this earth, but one day you have to stand before God. And when you do stand before God, you will know all about it. You will know all about it. It is time, my people. We have an icon who has gone away and he wrote about all the unjust. You are still alive. It's time to tell about the unjust in this city. It's the time to depart from the unjust. It's time to feed the poor, feed the hungry. Stop the oppression. You know, I remember that every person can attest to this. We can remember some great preachers, like Reverend Gregory, Mr. Whipper, the two ladies, Peyton. These preachers, a lot of these preachers were fighters in our community. I was a young boy. They were fighters. All of a sudden, they got old or they retired from their church, and we had new pastors coming in, not from Charleston. They didn't know anything about the fight. They came into a church, a mega church, and they came in not knowing about the fight that these pastors fought for so many years. The so-called mayor met them at the door. They met them at the door. They start sticking money in their pocket. That mayor stayed in office for 26 years because the mega church took the 30 pieces of silver and he persuaded his congregation to vote for a mayor for 26 years. Have done nothing in the black community. Not one thing. John wrote about it before it even happened. He wrote about it before it even happened. That is a band, an icon. And I thank God I've known him for 35 years. I thank God. I want to say this to you. We have to rally around this family because we cannot let this paper die. We cannot. Jim boys may be solid in that box, but we must have this boys to live on for the next 100 years. And we can do it. I called Mr. Smith up in Florida. Up in Florence, South Carolina. He's in a Black Association newspaper. He says, any means necessary, they will come and keep this paper open. He says, it's not about the money. We got the money, but it's the oldest paper in the state of South Carolina. And we have to do it, people. We have to do it. So I want everybody here to rally around this family who we need to rally around this people. I think me and Ms. Bird talked about it last week. We're going to do all we can to keep this people going. I'm telling you right now, my people, we, from this day forward, in the name of Jim French, must do more in our community. We got young people dying. Pastor Dixon fighting every day to stop the violence. Representative Gayard every single day to stop the violence. But we don't have the support of the community. Those who have influence, money, we need that. We need to stop the violence which we can. You know why there's so much violence? We only talk about the 3% crime that's in this community, and we have a shooting just about every week, every week. We talk about the 3% of black boys killing each other in this, but we never talk about the 97% the cause in effect. The cause is that we don't bring guns in our community, somebody else does. The cause is that the school system failed to educate our kids. Because, as the statistics say, a person that was finished the 8th grade with the most crime. We have to get up our seat and demand that they educate our kids. Let's get up our seat and say we want to find out where these guns are coming that's going in our community. We need to find that out. You see, because when you take guns and you get drugs and throw it behind you, you have a war in your community. It's time not to close the shed. It's time that people cry out, come out the door and say no. Our mothers are crying because their sons are dying. If not by the hands of another black man, by the hands of foolishness. And we must do better than that, because you know one thing? It may be your next, your son, your daughter. It may be somebody you love dearly. But you see, we can't sit back and just stay nowhere anymore. So what I'm saying to you, come to some racial justice meeting. We have Dr. Brown, we're going to meet up with Ms. Birch next week at the office, and they're going to plan education. We want to, if the school district can't educate our kids, we want to educate our own kids. We're in the process of talking to people all the way in New York City to come here, retired people to come here and help educate our kids. And we ain't asking them, we demanding them because our taxpayers money. If they can't do it, then we need to do it. So please, in the name of Jim French, who fought so hard for this community, who loved this community, sacrifice this community, because we can get churches and nobody to give them a dime. They refuse to do that. He sacrificed his family and his own money. And he told me that out of his mouth, his own money to keep that paper from falling. Now, please, help us keep this paper open. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Charleston Chronicle matters. Uncle Frenchie matters. Black media matters. Save the Chronicle. Rest easy. James J. French. We love you madly. Sincerely, you're great now. Take care.
Guess who's back? It's Brother Ron. As first hour dedicated to my Uncle Frenchie, James French, and to the 50th anniversary of his wonderful, brilliant newspaper, the Charleston Chronicle, excuse me. And I hope that you hear the good Reverend. My Uncle Frenchie paid a dear price for being a truth teller. His paper did not compromise the truth. The truth has any friends. Needs no validation. Like what Baba Dick Gregory said, my truth does not need to be validated by your ignorance, but you live in a world that loves to produce willfully ignorant people and institutions. To quote my blood relative, my blood cousin Curtis Mayfield, we call them educated fools from uneducated schools, and that don't worry song. And that don't worry fits what the mood right now in 2021. And you should worry, but don't worry. You know what I'm saying? It's not Nixon, it's Biden this time. It's not the fire, it's the Biden this time. And I good Baba Dick Gregory. Has a lot of fans out there, a lot of admirers, a lot of fanatics. Fan is a fanatic. And Baba talked about that. And I think what people misconceive or get wrong about Baba Gregory is about his Donald Trump interpretations. Like he would talk about Trump's shadow. He fears Trump's shadow, not Trump the man. A lot of y'all got a hatred for Trump that's not really logical. Is based on emotional manipulation rather by the so-called Mockingbird media. I don't call them the press. They're not the news. They the Mockingbird media. Check out Operation Mockingbird. But it wasn't Trump the man. It was following his aftermath. It was coming behind Trump that Dick feared, and he checked out of here because he knew that recess time was over. And Dick got on down. Dick left on his own terms. People got their conspiracies about what happened to Dick on August 19th. And I could tell you Dick has been dealing with a lot of, see, if you live long enough, the things that you do to your body catches up to you. It's like if you're a football player, you're a running back, and you take for granted that you're young and you could bounce back and then give you all these drugs to shoot you up with to get you back on the field. You could be the greatest running back, but then when you have any cartilage left in your knees just to walk down some steps. I've seen professional football players who had to slide downstairs to get to their man cave. They got no cartilage left in their knees. But the follies of youth. It is what it is. But if you live long enough, things catches up with you. And Bobby D. Gregory was doing things to the extreme. We talk about Black August. You got to talk about George Jackson, Field Marshal, the Black Panther Party, Blood in My Eye, Soledad Brother, Angela Davis, homie lover friend, so to speak, and also his brother Jonathan Jackson, who tried to free his brother and the Soledad brothers. Check out this stuff. George Jackson's assassination was directly tied to the Attica uprising. George Jackson was like a Fred Hampton. He was trying to unify and electrify the disenfranchised masses, especially from the prison point of view. And I'm not going to just get to, but I'm saying like, well, Dr. Huey P. Newton, who was also, assassinated in August. Baba Dick Greg was doing what's called revolutionary suicide. It was a slow form of revolutionary suicide because people didn't understand, like they didn't understand Trump's shadow. He wasn't talking about Trump. He was talking about the things that are going to happen after Trump leaves office. And this is what's going on. We in the aftermath. We in Trump's shadow right now. Then you're talking about, y'all thought he was fasting, but he was starving himself. Baba Dick was starving himself for righteous causes, for he was a true humanitarian. And he's told me, Brother Ron, we soldiers in a universal God war. And if you don't like the assignment, get the F out the army. That's what he told me. And he had that spirit, that militant spirit of John Brown, very unreasonable. He went to the extremes, and everybody else couldn't understand what he was overstanding, or even understand what he was overstanding. So I say that, like, when you think Dick was just fasting, no, he was starving himself to death. He was starving his body to make a point. Now, y'all expect LeBron James, he spent millions of dollars to preserve his body so he could be the all-time scoring champ and win at least 2 or 3 more championships. You ain't gonna see LeBron starving himself to make a point about saving your, assets. y'all expect the baby or anybody. I don't expect them, and they're entertainers. I don't expect Nick Cannon. He's a court jester, and no disrespect to them, but they are entertainers. They're not to be taken seriously. And y'all take y'all sports people too seriously. It's like what the Joker said in Dark Knight, why so serious? Y'all take them too serious, but you take yourself as a joke. You want to be in a state of arrested development. You like that. You like being mistreated and disrespected and unloved. To a lot of people, that's a sick form of love. We're dealing with a Stockholm Syndrome nation when it comes to so-called Black folk. But yeah, Dick was doing things like, when he fasted to protest the Vietnam War, he weighed about 300 pounds, got to under 100 pounds. He didn't do that in a healthy way. He starved himself. And like I know at the end, he was showing me his war wounds. Like, his doctor told me he have all type of long-term health effects if he ran cross country to bring attention to worldwide hunger. And at the end, he was having circulatory problems. Then they talked about the many strokes he would have over the years, undiagnosed many strokes. That's from doing severe fasting and other things, form of extremism. And he showed me stuff. And so, like, when he passed, it was unfortunate. But we all blood sacrifices, big and small. That's all I want to say on that. And nobody gets out of this world alive. So if people really do have a problem, or they feel like there's some foul play, I say trust your instincts, your intuition, and look into it. But it's been 4 years. And people say that they feel like he was, met with foul play. Why haven't you looked into it for 4 years? It's been 4 years. Don't be trying to name call and character assassinate people who have relationship with this man, who have their own. Because Dick had special relationships with everybody. He had his own. Because people always think they the one and only Dick Gregory disciple. No, he had many disciples, even folks who never met him, but met him in spirit, in his speeches and his words, in his books and whatnot. If you was inspired and moved and touched by Dick Gregory, you are a part of his living legacy. You are a Baba's chosen. But if people say, "Oh, there was some foul play," well, you had 4 years. Show us the receipts. Even the Kennedy thing had a Warren Commission. Whether you agree with the verdict or the assessment, even Mark Lane and Dick, I mean, they wrote books. Mark Lane wrote Rush to Judgment. Where is the lecture or whatever, or the OnlyFans account for the Dick Gregory death conspiracy? So if you just name calling and want to drop people names every once of a year and think you better than everybody else, it's like Dick had got a relative. He got a nephew, right? Last time I saw Dick Gregory was Mother's Day 2017. He was doing a couple of Mother's Day shows at the Helium Club. You know, they got a franchise. I think they're headquartered in Philadelphia, but the Helium Club in St. Louis in the Galleria Mall. And I drove up Mother's Day 2017. Dr. Christian got me in. He was letting people know, hey, you know, Ron's coming up from Memphis. He's gonna be looking out for Dad. So Pops, whatever. So the shout out Dr. Christian Gregory. So I got there. Dick was running late from the airport. A lot of things going on. A lot of confusion. I'm not gonna talk about it here. But Dick got there. He was kind of like, you know, anxious and stuff like that because he's running late. You know, Dick, I mean, people understand he's 80-something years old, right? Dick is crisscrossing the country like a person half his age. They have that type of stamina. But 84 is still 84, right? I mean, because how you expect the 84-year-old man to drive, you know, to be on an airplane about 6 hours, then you rush him to the venue. He doesn't get a chance to check into his hotel, to relax, to you know, just would decompress. I don't know, like just to relax. He's rushed from the airport to the venue, and he got to be funny. Like I appreciate now looking back. You know, I couldn't understand or understand then that he'd be on the edge because he was running behind, and you know, I'm talking to his opening acts and other people in the room, and he's like, "Y'all be quiet." You know, he going off on people. They pay for me to be funny. If they pay their hard-earned money for me to be funny, all this stuff. I mean, I'll write a book about what happened. That was an interesting thing. And Maxine Waters was in town. She's from St. Louis. You know, I know Cali got y'all got the California love for Maxine, but Maxine's from the projects in St. Louis. So she was in town, had some dignitaries and VIPs. A couple of multimillionaires was in Dick's company. It was like a homecoming for Dick. He's from St. Louis. So the first show was sold out. They added an extra show. So they had a second show. And some stuff went down in between me and him. But anyway, I quite possibly probably saved Dick Gregory's life that night. He never knew. Yeah, I'm gonna save that for my book, I guess. I won't talk about it on here. But one of his relatives was there, and I remember we went to the screening at the Tribeca Festival. They don't call it Tribeca Film Festival anymore. They call it the Tribeca Festival. So one of his nephews, and I don't know problem with him. He tried to go off on me, trying to crack a joke on me. Oh, he did crack a joke, and people kind of get it wasn't that funny. He just said some stuff, and I'm looking at him. I just okay. Then I remember he went into the back room to clean up some stuff in the hotel room where they was having the celebration of the movie, the documentary. Dr. Christian had him a suite at this very expensive hotel. So I got into him, saying, "Man, how you gonna disrespect me like that?" I just got into him. And he's older than me. He's like in his 60s probably. And he said, "Man, we talk." I said, "You went, you joking on me. You don't know me like that, bro." I said, "So you saw Dick Gregory joke on me, right? You saw him try to get me on in St. Louis, right?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "He ever curse you out? Because you known him longer than me. You knew him since the 60s. Nah. So I'm saying is don't ever think you could disrespect me because you don't got the stripes or the respect of your own uncle. Your uncle didn't think enough of you to curse you out because you need to be cursed out. Cause I could tell you went wrong in life. That's why he had no respect for you. He cursed me out, and then he'll say, "How's the family?" He still dealt with me. A lot of y'all think it was a badge of honor not to get cursed out by Dick Gregory, but like his family told me, his kids, they say, "Look, we consider you part of the family because the only thing different is that you got cursed out on the camera and he put it out on social media." But he do us like that all the time. So my thing is, people thought it was cool. Oh, it was a badge of honor to avoid getting cursed out by Dick Gregory. Maybe he went wrong in life because he didn't get cursed out by Dick Gregory. But I told him, you don't have enough rank or stripes in the army to think that you could go out for me like that. You don't have that because I saved your uncle's life that night. And he don't know it. You didn't know it to today, but I saved his life, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. And you don't have the rank. You're not a general. You're not ranked. You're a nobody. And then it was cool. And then Mike Dennis was there, real black. You know, y'all know real black. He was there. What's going on, fellas? You know, man, taking care of business, man. I got war stories. I got war rooms, and Dick was like a drill sergeant. For me, you know, a lot of cats, I try to introduce them to Dick. They were scared they're gonna get cursed out. I said, man, y'all see, black males, we have a lot of black males. We don't want to, a lot of us don't want to be men. And that's why I saw The Good Lord Bird. I binge watched that. You know, Dick Gregory's hero, his greatest hero, I mean, I think it's John Brown. He talked about John Brown all the time. I remember when I went to Harper's Ferry back in 2014, and I interviewed the park rangers. And I asked him, you know, y'all meet Dick Gregory? He said, oh, Dick Gregory comes here all the time. You know, Dick would tell y'all, he go to Harper's Ferry back October 16th, almost every year, to pay homage to John Brown. He'll go to Charlestown, West Virginia, where they tried and hanged John Brown. Go there around December 2nd. So he actually, I mean, the people in the park rangers knew Dick Gregory very well. And so he would come on a regular basis to pay respect to John Brown. So I made a pilgrimage to Harper's Ferry, and it's God's country. I mean, West Virginia, Harper's Ferry is, when they say God's country, they're talking about that place. That place is so majestic and beautiful and so peaceful. You would not think that a lot of bloody stuff happened there to cause what is now known as the American Civil War. But John Brown was committed, like Dr. King said, human salvation lies in the hands of the greatly maladjusted. He was a Taurus like me. John Brown was born May the 9th, 1800. But he was a Taurus like me, so we committed, we loyal. John Brown, he got it in, he had a whole bunch of kids. John Brown had 2 wives, probably had about 20 kids altogether. I think he lost 9 kids in childbirth. They were born and they died and then didn't live that long, but he had a whole bunch of kids. Matter of fact, he lost 3 sons in trying to fight the liberation fight for black people, trying to liberate black people. But he still had a lot more sons left. John Brown had a lot of kids. And Dick loved John Brown. He said he was the greatest American, not the greatest human being who ever lived. And John Brown was a great man. I think, man, Ethan Hawke did a phenomenal job in just showing the fanaticism and the brilliance and just the madness and the genius of John Brown. He did a hell of a job, because like John Brown is right now getting a makeover by history, because people will try to call him a terrorist and a madman and a psychopath, a sociopath. But like he said, if he was fighting on behalf of the wealthy, the rich, the privileged, the elites, he would be a hero. But because he's fighting on behalf of the enslaved, the dispossessed, the poor, disrespected, he's a terrorist. And American history is nothing but propaganda and a gangster rap album, as far as I'm concerned. But that Good Lord Bird was great. I know people talking about the Henry Shackelford Onion. John Brown called him Onion. He didn't really exist. It's a work of historical fiction. But people are like, he was trans, and actuality, he wasn't trans. He was dressed as a girl to survive. It was about survival. Dick Gregory talking about the phenomenon of shape-shifting among our people, the true nature of Uncle Tom. Uncle Tom was not a sellout, he was a hero. And they flipped it on us to make him like he was a sellout. And I lost my train of thought. But with the boy, it was some powerful things, man. I loved the whole thing. The boy said, how can I die as a man? I've never lived as a man. And I don't want to give it away, but it wasn't about what people were saying. It's kind of like, I remember several years ago listening to Brother Polite talking about, in order to make it in Hollywood, you had to act gay. If you were a black man, you had to act like a gay black male in order to make it into certain parts and situations in certain circles in Hollywood. And so that dude was trying to survive. He was trying to navigate. It's worth looking at the documentary, or the docu-series, or it's a series. It's a limited series on Showtime. Good Lord Bird. I'm not going to talk too much about it here, but and I like how they portrayed Frederick Douglass, because really, Frederick Douglass, this is the situation, what's going on now. To me, I really do think Jesse Jackson is like the Frederick Douglass of our times. I know Jesse Jackson, but he's like the Frederick Douglass of our times. You know, I always thought that, you know, Jesse is not like Al. You know, Al Sharpton don't have the credentials of a Jesse Jackson. Whatever you may think about Jesse, Jesse has actually done some things in the movement, whether you like him or don't. I mean, there's, you can say good things about anybody, but Jesse has done some things. And because we are people with short-term memory, we don't remember a lot of those things. And y'all talking about, well, he killed this and that. Let me tell you something. Your government that you pay tax dollars to is the reason why there's ghettos and projects and all types of foolishness going on. Your government, our government, like Dick Gregory said, don't get mad when they drop bombs over here, because we were paying all this time to drop bombs over there. Like the situation in Afghanistan, people have got a short-term memory. I can remember 20-some years. I remember like when Michael Moore did Fahrenheit 9/11. When George W. Bush was governor of Texas, he had the Taliban as his guest of honor. This was back in '99. This is 2 years before the skyscraper situation. Skyscrapers. 2 years before that, right? He had them as a guest of honor in Texas, the Taliban. And the Taliban was actually doing some good work. They were suppressing the opium trade. They were destroying the opium crops, all that. We call it, you know, where they get the opium from. They were actually suppressing that. And once the war on whatever started, the trade got back up again. Because, like, you know, you look at this year will be the 80th anniversary of Pearl Harbor, right? And, you know, Franklin Roosevelt, they say it's a conspiracy that Franklin knew the Japanese was going to bomb Pearl Harbor, that he did everything to allow them safe passage in bombing Pearl Harbor. What a lot of people don't really know is that Theodore Roosevelt's maternal grandfather, Warren Delano Jr., is one of the biggest drug dealers in American history. He's the real American gangster. It's not no Frank Lucas or Frank Matthews or Nicky Barnes. The real American gangster is Warren Delano Jr., whose grandson became one of the most powerful presidents of all time, the four-termer known as Franklin Delano Roosevelt. His grandfather used to sell opium to the Chinese. He benefited from the opium wars, all that stuff. So y'all can look all that up. Take a look. It's all online. But they said that Roosevelt, one of the aims of him getting the United States involved in World War II was to take back control of the drug trade for his family. You're talking about some mafia stuff. He wanted to control the Golden Triangle, allegedly. Southeast Asia and all that stuff. You know, they talk about that in American Gangster. So, not the Roosevelt, but, you know, they was, you know, how he was getting his stuff, Frank Lucas, allegedly. But yeah, but John Brown, that good lower bird, it's worth watching. And the trans dress thing, the dude still liked girls. He wasn't like he was gay. He was just dressing. And it was funny because certain people recognized that he was a boy in a girl dress. But I guess it's called in the conscious black people, like Emperor, the famous freedom fighter, one of John Brown's Black Raiders or Black Raiders, Emperor. They had a movie called Emperor that came out last year. And, you know, it's historical fiction, but it's good to see a superhero. And also you had the guy, Dangerfield Newberry. I think it's Dangerfield Newberry, who was the real Django. He was one of John Brown's Black Raiders. He had a couple of prominent black people in there that also gave their lives at Harper's Ferry. But, you know, the ultimate betrayal really was Frederick Douglass to John Brown. John Brown thought he had a supporter in Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass said, I could speak for the slave. I'm not going to die for no slaves. I could speak for the slave. I can advocate for the slave, but I can't die for the slave. John Brown not only died for the slave, he also sacrificed his son for the slave. But the thing about John Brown, he knew that he really couldn't free black people. He wanted to give black folks a choice and free themselves. He went to Harper's Ferry to get weapons so that the black folks could decide to fight for themselves. You gotta understand, we really didn't get anything until we started fighting for ourselves. Like when the Civil War came around, we didn't really get anything until black men decided to be men and fight for their freedom. See, the problem with us is we think it's the women they got to fight. No, it's the man who must fight and die for the liberation to be real. It's not only the women, it's the men. Until we as men decide to fight and die for something worthy of our people, we won't be free. The men must decide. White man can't do it. John Brown knew he couldn't do it. That's why he wanted to arm black men. But now a lot of us just want to be males and just exist and wallow in shame and misery. But even Dick Gregory grew his beard out. That's probably in respect to John Brown. Look at pictures of John Brown at the end, that long beard he had, and it was all wild out. It wasn't all nice and cut and trim. Dick would have them wily beards like that. And I see it's interesting. John Brown was an amazing man. And his spirit, he helped cause the Civil War that freed Black people. We need more John Browns. People tell me we got white allies. Nope. If you can't pass the John Brown test, you're not an ally of me. I don't need your help. I just got to free myself. But anyway, Dick Gregory, hero, John Brown. And I want to talk, let Dick Gregory in his own words, the righteous ancestor, talk about his hero, John Brown, why John Brown matters. And we'll be right back. I think I got it pulled up. I got so many tabs open. And I know, it's fun. I'm definitely losing a lot of subscribers. I'm in a negative as far as subscribers this month. It is what it is. I don't know what that's about. I don't really go by it. I think it's weird. A lot of times I am a victim of shadow banning and stuff like that. I know I wish people happy birthday on Facebook, for example, on Fadbook. And it takes sometimes 3 days for my video to upload so they can see it. 3 days. And I wish them happy life affirmation day 3 days ago. And I look at the views of that. I don't get enough views because it's weird, because I go outside and people recognize who I am, not just in Memphis, but around the country. I go any place and be, hey, this brother Ron, and they run up to me. I think they trying to serve me papers and go to court or something. So when I sleep with your wife, okay, well, why you run? Oh, you a fan of We All Be? Okay, so I don't trust the numbers. I don't trust none of this stuff. But unless I'm bleeding subscribers, I don't know, man. Like bleeding Kansas. Yeah, buddy. But let's play Dick Gregory talking about his mans and them. John Brown, why he's the greatest American of all time. This is We All Be. News Free Dixie for the 21st century. We All Be. News Free Dixie for the 21st century.
You're listening to We All Be News. News Free Dixie for the 21st century.
There's decent white folk that still don't know they're racist. You got black folk and white folk go to a doctor and say to their doctor, if you find cancer, don't tell me. This is what white folks do. They're in a state of denial. Then don't know it. But there's some decent, let me tell you, probably the number one human being that's ever been produced in America. Ever. It's John Brown. Abolitionists. Black folks couldn't belong to the abolitionists. They said we are too childlike. No black person could ever join. You got a bunch of white folks that will kill white folks, die for me, but I couldn't belong to them. That's not what I'm bringing out. John Brown, number one. John Brown. Why? When he went to Harper's Ferry, he took his 2 sons with him. Nobody will fight harder for blackness than me. Money-wise, it take a thing for me giving money for my children to go to private schools or money to the movement. I picked the movement. He went there and watched his 2 boys be shot dead. A white man. For me. He was wounded, but he wasn't shot dead. So his trial came up. They sentenced him to be hanged. I go on my birthday, October the 12th, to say thanks to this brother. I go back on October the 12th, my birthday. I go back October the 16th is the date of Harper's Ferry. I go back December the 2nd, the day they hanged him. and I go to the courthouse where they brought him out. I walk down to the streets where he turned left and walk 3 blocks and then turn right and walk 6 blocks. And there's the tree where they hanged him. I hugged the tree. Jesus was sent here to die for my sins. He wasn't. He had no orders. Had it not been for John Brown, it wouldn't have been a civil war. The world wouldn't have changed. Let me tell you what we dealing with so vicious. A white woman didn't get the right to vote to 1921. Legally, black slave men had the right to vote with the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment. They didn't give it to who had the right. We talking about his mama, his girlfriend, his sister, his daughter, his wife. That's how vicious this thug is. And she don't even see it, which means a white woman had to go on trial for murder that she was framed. She couldn't get a jury of her peers because you had to vote. So now let's watch this. Abraham Lincoln when you look at the top of the Capitol, that Indian, he declared that something special on December the 2nd, the same date of the year that they hanged John Brown. Hanged John Brown. So I go there. And here's what John Brown said when they yelled at him. Hey, nigga lover, what you got to say? He said, all I can say is what I'm fixing to die for. If I was doing this for the benefit of rich white men, I'd be your hero. Then he walked up the steps, and listen to this real good. When they put the noose around and he stopped. He said, oh, by the way, I talked to God last night. And God told me to tell you, you have missed the last chance to free the Negro slave with no blood. No blood. Told me to tell you the Negro slave will be free. Be the biggest bloodbath in the history of planet Earth. That kind of boggled me. The biggest? I was a grown man before I figured it out. It's the only war in the history of the planet where both sides went to the same school, West Point. They knew each other's training. They knew each other's training. You couldn't trick me. I've been trained like this here. I know when you throw your hand back and throw your head, you're going to throw me a ball, I'm going to walk. So I'll be ready to hit it. Nah. The bloodbath came. I want you to watch this. Robert E. Lee, he was a mad Christian. Shrewder military genius at the time than him. But he thought God sent him here to protect the white Christians. And so if he had a captain that wouldn't go forward, front, he'd kill him. Robert E. Lee. So all at once now, the Civil War was tipped off because of John Brown. I hear this good. When the Northern soldiers was marching into battle, they weren't singing God Bless America. They wasn't singing America the Beautiful. They were singing John Brown's body is a molding in the grave. John Brown's body is a molded in the grave. Glory, glory, hallelujah. His truth is. This is the soldiers singing this at the front line. When they hanged John, the white folks said, the racists, don't let his body get back to upstate New York. He'll be made a martyr. Black men from Harper's Ferry to upstate New York came down and lined the road from Harper's Ferry to upstate New York and said, try it. Try it. And that's why his body got back. John Brown. That's why we hear John Brown. John Brown. And when Abraham Lincoln decided, oh my God, we got to stop this war, he sent a messenger to meet with Robert E. Lee, horseback. Thank you, God. By the time he got there, Robert E. Lee had already surrendered. Tell me about universal law. Tell me about universal law. Now, y'all play your games if you want to, but you better play them fast and you better play them quick, because recess is just about over.
John Brown's body is a moldering in the grave, but his spirit carries on. That was Bobby D. Gregory talking about his love, the late great John Brown. I just not noticed that we did that interview on August the 7th of 2016. My uncle Frenchie's homegoing was August the 7th, 2021. So I mean, it's interesting. But anyway, he talked about, John Brown, but he had 5 Black Raiders with him. Dangerfield Newbie was the inspiration for Django. See, I have like Wi-Fi issues. Why lie? Wi-Fi. Hope y'all can hear me. Hope it ain't breaking up the voice. Okay, my voice is all right, I guess. But anyway, I wanted to showcase. Let's talk about John Brown's Black Raiders right quick. The Raiders, not the Oakland Raiders, but John Brown Raiders. In particular, his Black Raiders. I guess John Brown was Al Davis before Al Davis. Huh? Football fans know what I'm talking about. Somewhere. But I just want to show John Brown's Black Raiders. The Raiders. Those are, what's interesting is John Brown down there in the middle, bottom. It's interesting that 4 of the Raiders, Black Raiders, were free men. Not only were they free men, they were very well educated men. The only one that ran away from slavery was Shields Green, known as Emperor. That's the movie Emperor, historical fiction, but I prefer that movie over the Harriet movie with Cynthia Erivo. Now that's historical fiction for you. But this guy, I guess I got you see my pointer. I don't know, but he's at the top right, Shields Green. That's known as Emperor. But Good Lord Bird, is a dramatic work of art. It's Holly Weird still. And they got some of the people dying at the raid, which was not true. I believe the first person from John Brown team to get killed was Dangerfield Newbie, the guy whose Django is based on Django Unchained, Jamie Foxx character. He had on his personal letter from his wife saying to rescue her and the family. And I think after he got killed at Harper's Ferry, after all that went down, his family got sold down the river to Louisiana. So I don't know what happened to Dangerfield Newbie's kin. But I do want to read, excuse me, I do want to read something from the Washington Post concerning the 5 Black Raiders of John Brown. I'm going to add this stream. Yeah, I'll wrap it up. I have enough Dick Gregory stuff, but let's read something about the John Brown Raiders. The Raiders. This is from what year is this? This is from October 13th, 2019, by Eugene L. Meyer. 5 black men raided Harper's Ferry with John Brown. They've been forgotten. Every October, on the anniversary of the raid that helped fuel the Civil War, much attention is focused on Brown, not on his African American soldiers. Okay, by Eugene L. Myers, October 13, 2019. It was chilly and damp on Sunday evening on October 16th, 1859, when abolitionist John Brown climbed into a horse-drawn wagon for the 5-mile ride down a dark country road to Harper's Ferry. There he and his small band of men would seize the town and its federal arsenal in a futile attempt to foment a slave rebellion and bring down the South's peculiar institution of slavery. In front were 2 men shouldering arms. Behind were 16 more, marching 2 abreast in silence as solemnly as a funeral procession. And that's exactly what it was. None would survive except for the author of those words, Osborne Perry Anderson, who would also write the only insider account of the raid that rocked America. Anderson was one of 5 African Americans who went with Brown to Harper's Ferry. Every October, on the anniversary of the raid, much attention is focused on Brown, the radical white abolitionist who would be tried, convicted, and hanged less than 2 months later. Brown would become legendary in a nation still grappling with its original sin of slavery. For far too long, the 5 African Americans have been overlooked, overshadowed by their martyred commander, treated as footnotes, if at all, in the John Brown saga. When they are mentioned, it is often in passing, and they are lumped together as 5 black men, also accompanied Brown to Harper's Ferry. But each came for different reasons and by different routes that are worth recalling on the 160th anniversary of the raid, and then as the country also marks 4 centuries since the first enslaved Africans were brought to its shores. 4 were free men of color. The 5th had fled from slavery in Charleston, South Carolina. Charleston again, Lord. And was said to be African royalty. He went by Shields Green, and his nickname was Emperor. 2 were from Oberlin, Ohio, Louis Sheridan Leary and John Anthony Copeland, who had attended Oberlin College's preparatory department. Anderson was from Chester County, Pennsylvania, the son of a mixed-race man born in Fauquier County, Virginia, and a red-haired woman said to be from Ireland or Scotland. The 5th, Dangerfield Newby, was born a slave in the Piedmont of Virginia, the oldest of 11 children of a white farmer, Henry Newby, and Elsie Pollard of mixed racial background, and owned by another man, John Fox, who allowed him to live as husband and wife. To free his family with Fox's permission, Henry Newby moved into Ohio in 1858. Dangerfield Newby, a blacksmith by trade, had meanwhile established an enduring union with an enslaved woman named Harriet, with whom he had as many as 7 children. Facing financial ruin, her enslaver, Dr. Lewis Jennings of Brentsville, Prince William County, planned to sell her and their children south to the cotton plantations of Louisiana, where life was much harsher for those enslaved than in the upper South. Dangerfield Newby, moving back and forth between Ohio and Virginia, sought to negotiate their purchase. Accounts differed, but by 1859, the deal had fallen through, and he joined with Brown, hoping to liberate his family. In the spring and summer of 1859, Harriet wrote 3 letters to Newby, at 39, the oldest in Brown's band. Wow. Each was addressed to dear husband and signed your affectionate wife. In her last letter on August the 16th, she wrote, I want you to buy me as soon as possible, for if you do not get me, somebody else will. There has been one bright hope to cheer me in all my troubles, and that is to be with you. By enlisting with Brown, Newby also clung to hope. He could not foresee what lay ahead. His death came on the morning of October 17th, when on the streets of Harper's Ferry, he was shot down by a sniper. Angry townspeople cut off his genitals and his ears for souvenirs and left him for the hogs. Harriet and the children were sold south a few months later. See, that what happened to the actual Django. He didn't have a happy ending like the fictional Django. But that's Quentin Tarantino for you, man. He got away. I mean, I think check out Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And what was the other one he did? Inglorious Bastards. Inglorious Bastards with what's his name? Brad Pitt. He know how to turn around history, power of the media, of propaganda. Anyway, yeah, let's read what it happened to Dangerous for Newbie. His death, I'm gonna read it again so y'all get home the point. His death came on the morning of October 17th when on the streets of Harper's Ferry, he was shot down by a sniper. Angry townspeople cut off his genitals and his ears for souvenirs and left him for the hogs. Harriet and the children were sold south a few months later. Wow. Brown's insurrection ended after 36 hours when 90 Marines under the command of Colonel Robert E. Lee battered their way into the Arsenal fire engine house where the insurrectionists had holed up. One of the black men from Oberlin, Louis Leary, was mortally wounded trying to escape across the Shenandoah River after the raid. He left a wife and young daughter. Now in the Good Lord Bird with Ethan Hawke, who did a phenomenal job as John Brown. The madman liberated Christian warrior John Brown. They had like it was 1,200 troops there, but in this, it was supposed to be based on fact, was only 90 Marines under command of Colonel Robert E. Lee. Interesting. That's why you can't trust Hollywood to tell you a story. Like Dr. Bill Cosby told me, we got to be at the forefront of telling our stories before we get to that point. Because once they start telling you stories, they'll erase the 5 black raiders that were with John Brown. And these guys were black men. They wanted to put their lives on the line for their families and for liberation. So that's duly noted, right? Brown was badly injured but survived to face justice meted out by a judge and 12 jurors, all slaveholders convicted with him and also hanged with Greene and Copeland. Virginia Governor Henry A. Wise received hundreds of letters, many of them seeking Brown's release or the commutation of his death sentence. There were no such appeals specifically on behalf of the Black Raiders, even from abolitionist groups. Copeland refused to die a bitter man. From his cell on the morning of his execution, he wrote to his family in Oberlin, "We shall meet in heaven, but we should not be parted by the demands of the cruel and unjust monster slavery. But think not that I am complaining, for I feel reconciled to meet my fate. I pray God that his will be done, not mine. Let me tell you that it is not the mere act of heaven to meet death, which I should regret, but that such an unjust institution should exist as the one which demands my life." Brown's corpse was respectively transported to his farm in North Elba, New York, in the Adirondacks, where he was buried. The remains of Copeland and Greene were given to the Medical College of Virginia in Winchester for students to dissect. To the abolitionist cause, Brown was a hero. His African-American soldiers all but forgotten. As historians have noted, the raid was a catalyst to the Civil War, which erupted a little more than a year later. It ultimately freed 4 million enslaved men and women and led to the passage of 3 constitutional amendments. At the raid centennial in 1959, in the Southern sympathizing West Virginia Panhandle, Brown was portrayed as a villain, and weekend crowds cheered his capture by Civil War reenactors. The Black Raiders went unmentioned. By 2009, at the sesquicentennial, the country has similarly changed with Barack Obama as first African-American president. The National Park Service, which oversaw and organized the commemoration, sought out descendants and invited them to attend. Both Copeland and Newby were part of the presentations. Of the 5 men, only Greene was unrepresented by descendants. Okay. Hope y'all heard me. Okay, I think y'all heard me. Let me see. So that little history lesson. Like, we got to talk about stuff like that because I think it's important we always shortchange, like they wrote them out. Just like when we talk about Emmett Till, a lot of y'all just focus on the brothers J.W. Malum and Roy Bryant, but it was black males that helped kill and kidnap Emmett Till. And people knew that in 1955. It's like people knew in 1859 that John Brown had black raiders, but with the passage of time, it's forgotten about, or they've written out the books. And so that's what we do. We write ourselves out of our own history to tell of our story. That's why I take pride in doing this platform to inform people about our narratives, the missing chapters or the hidden chapters of our story. And this is what we do. So I thank Baba Dick Gregory for being the man that he is, and continue to be even after death, showing an example of what it is to not only sacrifice your career, but sacrifice your life and even your family for a cause bigger than you or your family. So with that said, I don't know what's going on with this stuff. Let me see something. I'm gonna try something. I know my screen kind of weird, breaking up Wi-Fi stuff, but y'all can hear my voice. But I think I'm gonna close it out. I got a lot of Dick Gregory stuff. Just go on my YouTube channel, check out all the Dick Gregory stuff that we got. I'm thankful that I had a relationship with this man doing his what we call Uranus return. Y'all look at what Uranus return is. He was able to get his flowers before he departed this plane. So I'm glad I was able, in my own little small way, to help get recognition for him and for to younger generations. I know a lot of people, younger than his age bracket, they learn about Dick Gregory through platforms like mine and Real Black and other people. And so I'm thankful to help be a messenger or advocate or supporter of his message to help amplify it for the masses, because the wisdom of Dick Gregory is needed more than ever. And thank God he left an amazing archive of interviews, books, talks, whatever, about this thing of ours. So with that said, I'm about to close it out. And thank y'all for being patient. I'm actually gonna get this show done within 2 hours. What an accomplishment. And I know my stuff ain't for everybody. I cater to a certain crowd. I'm not, gonna throw the gossip and all the innuendo and stuff like that like a lot of other people. But it is what it is. But I'm glad to be of service nonetheless. So with that said, I wanna play my salute for him, graveside. He's buried in Fort Lincoln right now. Fort Lincoln in Prince George's County, Maryland. Bladenburg, Maryland is at Prince George's County. But he's in a mausoleum near the back. I think he is. He probably still, because Dick Gregory don't like to stay still in death. He stayed moving. But thank you all, family, for tuning in as well as tuning out at the same time. We love you madly. Oh, thank you so much, DFN Universe, for the donation. We love you madly. Thanks for listening. Yeah, this weird screen, my Wi-Fi, whatever. I don't know what that's about. But long as you hear my voice, but I'm about to shut up. And I appreciate, I received a blessing. Amplified blessings. Many thanks to you and your family as well. It's not that they forget, it's just the fact that they omit. Forget is like, okay, my bad, my mistake, but omit is to do it with a certain agenda, like to do it, it's like, it's very demeaning and disrespectful what they do. It's not that they forget, they omit. That's a good thing. I'm glad be of service to the people, but I'm gonna let Dick do his thing. Let Dick do his thing. It's time for Dick to do his thing. Or baby, like, it's time for me to represent Dick. Yeah, too many folks on Wi-Fi. Yeah, that could be it. A lot of, we being exposed. Like I said, people tell me we be jabbing. I'm not worried about no jabs, because like it's so many other things that we are exposed to that's getting us. It's one thing gonna get you. If the other thing don't get you, the other thing gonna get you. You know what I'm saying? So I'm tie it up with this. But before we go, let me do a quick disclaimer. No, I'll just go ahead and play this. We all be news-free Dixie for the 21st century. And it's always a pleasure to be of service to the people. I'm glad people get stuff out of what I do and what I have done and know that the best is yet to come. Remember, this is We All Be News-Free Dixie for the 21st century.
This is Brother Ron coming to y'all. We all be in it to win it. Another one of Baba D. Gregory's final resting places. Even in death, this dude can't stay still in one spot for long. They keep on moving him around. He refused to stay idle and still, even in death. He is a one-man movement beyond the grave. So I was paying my respects to Baba D. Gregory on my way back to Memphis. Today's date is June 23rd, 2021. We are at the Fort Lincoln Cemetery in Prince George's County. Now, when y'all saw me last, I was over some other spot in Fort Lincoln, but Dick Gregory said they can't keep his body down. No grave can hold Baba Dick Gregory, so he's moved over here now. And I understand there are plans to move him to the national, the National Cathedral in D.C., which was his headquarters while he was alive, trotting the earth. But legends never die. Energy can't be dead. Legends never die. And Baba Dick Gregory is truly, in the words of Duke Ellington, beyond category. Thank you, Baba, for the many lessons. You was my real drill sergeant. You told me one time, Brother Ron, we soldiers in the army. If you don't like the assignment, get the hell out the army. This path, this life that we lead, like Dr. King said, human salvation lies in the hands of the creaturely maladjusted. It's not for the weak-willed or the faint of heart, but of courageous spirit, born not because of lack of fear, but because in spite of the fear, you keep moving and pushing. It's like Baba D. Gregory said, you got to be like turtle, hard on the outside, soft on the inside, but willing to stick your neck out all the same. Be like turtle. Does not be like just water. And Baba D. Gregory said, drink your 8 ounces of water a day. Let us be reminded what Baba Dick Gregory said. 3 things that are killing people. 3 things that are killing people. Lack of water, lack of sleep, and lack of exercise. Lack of exercise, lack of sleep, and lack of water. So stay hydrated. Keep moving and pushing. Get your rest at the same time and know that the best is yet to come. Thank you, Baba, for being that example. You have provided the blueprint on how to live a truly purpose-driven life. And I thank you for picking me, one of many, be one of Baba's chosen. Whoever had listened to his rants and raves and lectures and records and video, whatever, read his 16 books, you are part of Baba's chosen army. We are an army of many. And know that we do things out of love because we are all, like Baba D. Gregory, true humanitarians. You see how it works, right? So thank you, Baba, Richard, Claston, Gregory, also known as Dick Gregory. We thank you so much, Baba. You are blessing us from beyond the grave. People always ask me, or sometimes ask me, do you miss Baba? How can I miss something or someone who's so omnipresent? He's everywhere. His fingerprints are everywhere. His energy is everywhere. It's contagious. So remember that. It's hard to believe that one man did so many things and means so many things rather to so many people. If I told you all the things that Baba Dick Gregory done, you'd think he was a mythological character or a superhero. And he was all of that and then some. Baba Dick Gregory knew that when you believe in something that's true and that you know who you are, that your truth, if you choose to live it, does not need to be validated by anyone's ignorance. So with that said, thank you, Baba, so much. Job well done. The marathon continues. And know once again, in the words of Duke Ellington, a love you madly. And thank you for allowing me to carry your message, to help amplify your message. Like Baba told me in Kansas City back on August 20 of 2016, who knew that a year later he would be dead or become a righteous ancestor, would be ascending to a righteous ancestor. He told me, Ron, I'm more popular right now than I was in my prime. And because of shows like yours, we all be in other shows and the internet that helped me to amplify my message. This is the reason. And he said, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Plant yourself in an all-new competition, putting the sharpest talent in the ultimate test of topiaries.
Thank you. And you got to understand, before you had the internet, Dick Gregory was social media. He was a one-man social media outlet. He exposed so many conspiracies that proved to be true. And sometimes being a truth teller, or all the times rather, being a truth teller is a very, very lonely existence. Like the old biblical saying, to paraphrase that, a prophet is always without honor among friends and family and in homeland. So Dick was a true father of humanity. And I want to thank him once again for setting that example. Because Baba Dick actually outled a lot of his friends. He was, cell shock. Think about it. He lived twice the age and then some of his good friends, Medgar Evers, who died at 37, Malcolm and Martin, who both died at 39. He actually outlived all them guys. He might have had survivor's guilt, but he didn't waste his time feeling sorry for himself or being down and out. He got out there. He got in where he fit in. He made a place where he didn't fit in because, like I said, like Dr. King said, human salvation lies in the hands of the creatively maladjusted. I am in the creatively maladjusted, and I got my orders from General Baba Dick Gregory to keep it pushing, and the marathon continues. Thank you so much, Baba. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Like he said, one of the things I keep learning is that the secret of being happy is doing things for other people. One love, everybody. One love. Let's keep it going. As of 2021, family, you could visit Baba Dick Gregory at Fort Lincoln Cemetery in Prince George's County, Maryland. He's way back in the cemetery. In the mausoleum section, the historic mausoleum section, there's a Liberty Bell as a centerpiece of the historic mausoleum section, building 15.
as of June 23rd, 2021. This is where Baba Dick resides, where Baba Dick resides. His final resting place. This man, no grave can hold his body down. But once again, Fort Lincoln Cemetery, historic mausoleum, building section, building 15. Historic mausoleum, building 15, Fort Lincoln Cemetery in Prince George's County, Maryland. Thank you so much. And we love you madly.
Don't book a cheap hotel.
And thank you, family, for everybody for tuning in, tuning out, but still being in tune with us tonight. Your brother Ron, also known as R2C2H2, the artist. So once again, this is Black August. This is Black August 2021 now, Memphis time. And we honored not only the 4-year anniversary of Baba Dick Gregory becoming a righteous ancestor, but also the 50th anniversary of the birth of the Charleston Chronicle, founded by my uncle Frenchie 50 years ago on August 19th, 1971. Let's save the Chronicle. I'll probably doing some updates about the situation as it relates to that newspaper, but just let it be known it's very important to tell our stories from our perspective so we could be more included in the telling of the story. How can you tell a story about a hero and the hero is not even mentioned or amplified in said storytelling? Unfortunate state of affairs, but this too shall pass, and we could be on our way to brighter, greener pastures, as they say. Thank y'all for doing. Yeah, Good Lord Bird. I'm gonna do a show about the Good Lord Bird, because it needs to be broken down. It is a lot of confusion with Hollywood, but I think people are not seeing. They're missing the bigger message that could be had from that. It talks about the emasculation of the black male. What's going on right now? Look at what they're trying to do to the baby, and they're doing to a lot of these athletes. If you speak your mind, you can't. You got to be what we tell you to be. Even though you got money in the bank and you got all this stuff, you're still a slave. You're a slave to materialism instead of being a servant of the truth. And therein lies the problem and the contradictions. But yeah. So thank y'all. More shows to come. I think I know what the situation is with the Wi-Fi, and so it'll be for another show. I'm just thankful And these shows take a lot out of me to do. It's very demanding. People don't understand. Like they think these things are easy. And I think my curse is that I make too many things look easy to do. Like I'm doing something, Jim Lunsford Jamboree Festival. I mean, we got a great week coming up. I don't know how the work gonna be looking at late October 2021. I do know that the show must go on, and we're gonna be honoring some amazing people. In October, we're gonna honor Dr. Bobby Rush, one of the last bluesmen. He won the last man standing. He got to be the last one almost to still perform at the level that he performed. He gonna be our king. We're also honoring some other people. The Temprees, they got a street naming ceremony coming up this Saturday. Hopefully, I can cover that. If y'all know anything about soul music, you know the Temprees were one of the top soul groups back in the day. Dedicated to the one I love. You know, there's like been sampled, Quiet Storm type of stuff, but they are Memphis grown hometown heroes. So they're gonna be honored this year along with Dr. Bobby Rush and so many other interesting, unique people. And we're gonna talk about them. We all be. I know people say, "Oh, I'm trying to talk about Jimmy Lunsford." Well, problem with us is people we ungrateful. The people that did things for us, we want to forget about them. Like John Brown's 5 Black Raiders. These guys put their lives on the line to not only free themselves, but to free their families and for future generations. And but the people that disrespect us, despise us, they tell us they hate our guts, they hate themselves. We love those folks to death, not love the folks who fought for us to life. And therein lies the contradiction. So I'm out of here. But let me read my thing I like to read. That thing I like to read. The disclaimer. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Well, disclaimer: the views expressed by hosts and guests on the We All Be TV platform are not the official views, opinions, beliefs, or perspectives of We All Be News or the We All Be Group Incorporated. We All Be News is an organization that thoroughly believes in supplementing the information narrative that is usually supplied by the corporate news entities with those viewpoints and expressions which may be marginalized or ignored for a plethora of reasons. We are about informing the general public on alternative perspectives as it relates to news and information, and letting the general public be the ultimate judge and decide on how to use said information. Informed citizens are responsible citizens. Thank you for your support. And that does it. If you want to support, if you believe in the words of Brother Herb, please spread the word. Tell people about our We All Be TV channel on YouTube. We All Be TV, all one word. We All Be TV. You can support the movement. You cash out your support, $ R2C2H2. That's $ R2C2H2. Also, you could Google Pay, PayPal, and Zelle your support at r2c2h2@gmail.com. That's r2c2h2@gmail.com. You could Venmo your support at r2c2h2. Like I said, cash out, $ R2c2h2. You can buy Art of His Art. All the art that's featured in my shows is mine. You go to r2c2h2.com to check them out. Also, you can wear Art of His Art. I got the Nipsey Hussle shirt on, the Lion of Crenshaw shirt. You check it out. Go below the description box here. If you're on YouTube, check out the official channel's Teespring store. Got all my shirt. I mean, I'm just a dude to do a little bit of everything. So thank you all once again for tuning in, tuning out to tune in with us, because we all creatively maladjusted on some levels. In the words of Duke Ellington, we love you madly, and y'all keep on producing and pushing. Yes, Mark. Yes, it's like John Brown was a Taurus. People sound we the crazy ones, but Tauruses are the manifestors of the zodiac. That's why I can make things happen. Because once I put my mind to something, we are stubborn, we're persistent and insistent. It's like Coretta Scott King was a Taurus. Duke Ellington was a Taurus. Duke Ellington had a working band for 50 plus years. Coretta helped make King's birthday a holiday and create a movement behind King after he died. She was his, Isis to his Osiris. She resurrected him and was the torchbearer. But Taurus, we do our thing. I don't think a lot of people appreciate the loyalty and commitment of a Taurus. That's who we are. So I embrace my Taurusness, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much for your support. We love you, Matt. There. I know I don't run out of ideas. My thing is having time to do the ideas, but I got some shows coming up that I would love to help y'all input on very soon. Thank you for receiving. We love you, Matt Day. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. I'm gonna do a review of Good Lord Bird. Yes, thank those righteous ancestors. So thank y'all tonight for tuning in and tuning out to tune in with us. And know that the best is yet to come. Be good, be kind, but just be you all the same. See how it works? Somewhere.